Hi everybody, hello and welcome back to my channel. It's nice to see you. Today we're going to be having a look at this. Yesterday we looked at the dies that I'd bought. Today we'll have a look at how to colour them and how to make this page pocket, page, whatever you want to do with it. You can make it in dimensions that suit the journal that it's going to go in, or just make it and pop it in your stash for sometime later when it all fits in nicely. Now today, just to further complicate things, I want to make two versions of this. So let's get started. I'm using my Pink Frog Super Smooth paper, 210 GSM, so it's quite thin. It's at that sort of intersection of paper and card, I would say, but it takes the water well. I've tried it. It does well. So I'm going to be using my distress paints today. I'm using Rusty Hinge, which came all the way from Keong to me. I'm so glad to have it. So just give them a good shake up. You can hear the ball bearings rattle. And I'm using paint rather than inks because I want them to dry. Oh, manky. I want them to dry and not move on me. I've got bits of crustiness. So I'll just pop some of that down and then add some water. Give that a bit of a mix around with the end of a paintbrush. Or your finger if you don't mind, but I end up in the right mess anyway. So I'm not wetting the paper, I'm just going in dry. And I'm just going to dab that down onto there and see what we get. Oh, look at that. I love doing this so much. There we go. Oh, there's quite a lot of paint on there. Let's just take some water to that. That's just a bit too much. Ooh, did you hear that? We live quite close. Not on the doorstep of, but quite close to a RAF base, and I think they're testing bombs out today. They do frequently. I think it's their role in life. That's just too nice to waste. I'm going to have to get another piece of paper out. I can't waste that. So let's just pick up what we can from there. Oh, too nice to waste, for sure. There we go. That's better. Better than wasting it. So let's just clean off this. Oh, there's still stuff on it. Clean off the little inking mat. I see Tim's brought out a full size one of these. By full size I mean the size of the glass media mat, which would be very handy, but I manage okay with what I've got. So let's dry this off before we go in with another colour and see if you can guess what the other colour is. I'm dabbing this because I don't mind if I get bits of texture on it like that, and of course it'll make it quicker to dry. So I'll just throw that bit of tissue away, we'll dry that off. If I could find my heat gun would be a help. It's under my Timmy trimmer. So I'll give that a bit of a dry. And of course the beauty of the acrylic paints, the distress paints, is that once they're dry, they're immovable, which is brilliant. That's what we want, because you'll see later we're going to go over it with something else, which if you used inks, the inks would just all muddy together. So we'll dry this as we go. Doesn't have to be bone dry for the next one. That will be fine. And then the Rusty Hinge. got to be my favourite. I love Rusty Hinge. So I'm just going to put some little drops out. Not quite as generous as I was with the vintage photo, which had far too much. A bit of water just to get them moving a bit. There we go. Same thing. You can see it, but it's actually not showing up very, very well, but it is there. Right. That's fine. That's fine. Oh, that looks nice, doesn't it? That does look very nice. Yeah, that's got more definition than that one. Oh well, such is the way of the world. Let's just clean this off and then I'll dry that. There we go. So I hope you're all doing all right today. Mr. F's been very busy today. He's cut all the grass, got the strimmer out. It's been a busy bunny today. And we've got a parcel that's going out, so it's got to get that to the courier place. Right, so I'm going to dry this off and I'll come back to you when it's bone dry. Right, I think that is pretty dry. Don't worry about it wrinkling up. We can flatten that later on. Now what I'm going to use to put over the top is this Tim Holtz Ideology tissue wrap, a roll of thin decorative paper used to wrap a package or as collage ephemera. And I'm going to use it as collage ephemera, I guess. I'm going to stick it onto there. And it's, I think this must have been on the go before he had this stuff, the collage rolls. Let's see if that piece is big enough. Oh, and it absolutely is. So I don't know if you can even still get this. I don't think so. I haven't seen it anywhere. I have seen it around in the odd shop that, you know, obviously doesn't sell their Tim Holtz stuff as their main brand sort of thing, and they've still got some hanging around. So you can get it, but, you know, you can equally use that. So this is why I wanted to use paint and not ink, because now I'm going to put some matte medium out and spread it all over this piece that we've just made, because this tissue wrap needs to have glue underneath it. And it needs quite a lot of glue as well. So I'm just using matte medium. You can use collage paste, whatever takes your fancy. But it does need quite a strong glue, or it just won't stick. Right, so let's pop this on, try and get it something like square. Oh, I've got a factory edge down here. So let's just try and line that up with the edge of our piece, like that, and then just spread it out. And one thing this does not do is wrinkle. It's just fabulous. So now I just want to go over the top and stick it in place. That corner looks like it needs a little touch of more glue. So give it a good coat. Like that. Brilliant. And then pick it up, which is always a bit of a trauma really, because it gets stuck to your glass mat. There we go. And I'm just going to cut the edges off now before I proceed. Bye, Mr. F. He's going out to drop that package off. So let's just cut this off here. And then I can lay it somewhere to get dry. I'll give it a bit of a dry first with a heat gun, but it dries better, it dries flatter if you let it dry naturally. So that's me covered in glue again. There we go. So that's what we've got. Looks lovely. I love it. Right, let's have a bit of a clean up here. I've got quite a lot of blue roll now. Let's just lift that up onto there and give this a bit of a clean. I've put out way too much matte medium, which is just a waste. I can't put it back in the pot because some of that colour of the paint has come off a little bit, because it's not bone dry. It's only to be expected. You know, if you leave it for, even go for a coffee or something and come back, you've got more of a chance with it than just drying it with your heat gun and then moving straight on to the next thing. There we go. We're looking not too bad now. That's a bit better than it was. Right, I need to wrap this brush up because I wrecked a brush yesterday because I didn't get wrapping it up quickly enough. You can use a wet wipe if you like, but I'll just use some water on a piece of blue roll. Just keep it damp till you can get to the sink, really, is all you're doing. So that needs to get washed as and when. Let's take a towel over this and dry this off. And I'll just start the process with a heat tool. It's really nice, that collage paper, isn't it? It's gorgeous, in fact. So it's starting to dry out. It's got a bit of heat in it now, so it'll dry relatively quickly, I imagine. So there we are, we'll just leave that to dry. And we'll move on to the second of these. That's just so pretty. You can see the colours coming through. So I'll pop that on one side. I amuse myself when I say that because I haven't got any space anywhere. So I'll get my inky thingy out, and this time we are going to use purples. So I'm going to use Dusty Concord and Villainous Potion. So I'm going to use the Villainous Potion first, I think. And just a few little dots. It's villainous by name and villainous by nature, this. It's really a strong colour. It's a lovely purple, actually. Forgot what to do next there. So just spread that around. I might just add a bit of water to this, actually. Give it a bit more movement. Yeah, I think that looks better with a bit more water in it. Look at that gorgeous inky purple colour, it's beautiful. And just dab this into there, see what we get. Oh my goodness me, that's incredible. That's incredible. Wow. Beautiful. And no way is that going to waste. So let's get another piece of paper out. Oh, I've put them too far away to reach. Come on, just one piece, please. There we go. Oh my, this is lovely. Wow. Oh, it's fabulous. Fabulous. I could do this all day long. I just love it. You never really know what... Oh, look at that. You never really know what you're going to get. And it makes it exciting. I'll leave that like that. Just delicious. Clean off that, dry that. Yeah, I mean, it's powerful, isn't it, that stuff? Powerful. Villainous potion, beware. Marvellous. Right, so I'm just going to dab some of this where it's really, I think I need a new piece of that, where it's really thick. Get some texture in it as well and take off. It's beginning to dry already, look. I mean, it's quite a pleasant day here, but you wouldn't say it was earth-shatteringly hot. But that's drying nicely already, so let's just finish drying that off. There we go, it's pretty dry. So I'm going to use the Dusty Concord now, which is a more mild form of the purple, and I don't want that much of it. That's probably fine. I'm just going to add some water to it, mix it up and make it nice. Yeah, that's lovely. That's what I wanted. I wanted the lighter purple to sort of sit on top of, of the darker purple. Oh my god, that's lovely. There we go. I think that's absolutely perfect. Right, this one, it's not quite dry yet, but we'll give it a go. That is one heck of a piece, isn't it? Beautiful. Okay, so let's clean this off and dry that off. There's a lot of cleaning up to do, but we are making two different things. That's where a lot of the cleaning is coming from. This is getting a bit mucky now. It looks like it needs to go in the kitchen and have a good wash. Right, so let's just dry this off and move along the bus. Okay, I think it's pretty dry. And for this one, I'm going to use the collage paper. It's called Typeset, and I'm pretty sure that this is, available. I know things come and go in the Ideology range, but I'm pretty sure that this one is still available. So I need it to come to about there. Lovely. And same procedure really. That's pretty, isn't it, that paper? Ooh, I love it. So, forgot what you call this, matte medium. So I'm just going to put it all over, because this paper as well needs glue underneath it. When I do napkins, I don't put glue underneath them, just on top. But the collage paper from Tim Holtz, it's impenetrable actually with glue from the top, so you have to put glue on the bottom. So give it a good coat of glue. There we are. I think that's probably enough. Make sure you've got the corners done well. There we go. And once again, I'm going to line the edge up with the edge of this, so I know I've got it kind of straight. I mean, a lot of this you're not going to see, but you know, I think that's okay there. And this stuff will wrinkle on you if you're not careful, so start from that edge and just work your way out, smoothing it out as you go. And there we go. And then we want some more matte medium over the top. A really good coat of it. I think I've got a bit there that hasn't got any glue on. You can feel it when you're doing it. Press down quite firmly, so if there is any air in the central section, you're pushing it out. Lovely, that's great. Right, so I need to attend to that brush in the same way as the other one, but first off I just need to cut the edges of this off. It's stuck to my board. Don't worry about the back, we'll deal with that. Whoops, I've decided to cut into the card. Oh, don't do that. My scissors are all sticky from the brown one, so they don't really want to cut anything. Sticky scissors, ugh, horrible. So there we have it, and I think that looks kind of okay. My poor scissors, they definitely need to go in the sink. And let's just have a little bit of a clean up. Get this matte medium off as quickly as you can. If you've got a messy mat, which I have got a messy mat that Nancy kindly sent me, but yeah, I don't know where it is. But it does just come off your glass mat as long as you're quick about it. If you leave it to set, you're going to have to get a scraper on it. There we go. So I'm going to take the heat gun to that, and then I'm going to leave it to dry naturally. I'm going to bundle up my brush the same as I did with the other one, and then I'll come back to you when I've done that. Okay? Okay, so they're off drying, doing their thing, and we've got time now to paint our flowers, which are the ones that we cut yesterday from the Little Sizzix flower jar collection. So let's just see what we've got. And I kind of want to paint them in purples, maybe some pinks. I'm not sure yet which ones I want to use. And I've got 2 sizes of flower jars, and I'm not sure which of those I want to use either, so I'll do both of those as well. I'll leave those to one side. Right, so I want these to be colourful, but I want the greens to be green. So I might start with the greens first. So, let's see what colour this is. It's quite a bright green, isn't it? Just, you know, you can always mix your markers. Don't forget that you can do that. So I'm just putting down 2 colours. There I'm using a water pen. And this I think is a leaf. So, ooh, that is bright. So I'm just putting it on one side, and then I'm going to clean off my water brush of any colour that's on the tip, and just drag that to the other side so as you get a bit of shading on it. So one side will be darker than the other. Like that. Hope you can. Oh, you can't. I'm going to try and alter this. Whoops. I'm going to have to move up. Yeah, but I think you can see that a little bit better. So I'm just going to go back over the side I want darker and darken it a little bit more. So we've got some shading on there. This one's just probably the stem, I think. So it's just a thin stem. And a couple of these I think are probably leaves rather more than flowers, so we'll colour those. This one, the stem, I think there's some leaves and there's also a flower in there. They look like leaves. So down that one side, want quite a lot of paint. Then clean the brush off and just bring that paint over. And I'm using a water brush, and to be honest, I'm not sure I'm getting the best results, so I'm going to revert to a paintbrush, spray some water down there, put the paint on. That's better. The water brushes are great, but of course they dilute your paint. So clean that colour off and then drag it to the other side, and you'll get a nice shading effect. We need to come back to that one to do the actual flower, but in the meantime we'll pop it there to dry. This one, wrong end. You could put the colour directly onto the which of these are leaves and which are flowers, hard to tell, isn't it? Yeah, you could put the colour directly onto the paper. I'm not sure how the paper would take that. So I'm just dragging that colour out onto the right hand side, and then just a little bit more down the left. Just give it a bit of shade. Pop that there to dry. This long one, I think it's just kind of that bottom bit and maybe that bit there. That's all that needs. The rest is flower. This one, another tricky little sucker. Trying to work out which is which. I think they're leaves. A bit of stem there. It's hard to say, isn't it? I think these are leaves down here. And down here. My goodness, it's like the impossible task, this. try that for size. And I'm going to try just putting my brush on this side, my brush pen I should say, just see what happens if I can drag it out. If not, well, I've wasted the die cut, but it's not the end of the world. Oh no, it drags out quite nicely. Honestly, this Pink Frog paper knows no bounds. Yeah, that's much better actually, much better. So now we've got a leaf. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to dab this onto the edges of the left hand side. Get some water on my brush and drag that over to the right hand side. There we go. So you can see quite clearly on that one, the one side is shaded and the other side isn't. It's just light. Okay, and this one I think is just a stem, so let's put that in with that green there. Lovely. This one, we've already had one of these. These are weird things. Don't even know what it's supposed to be. But we'll put green down this side, straight from the marker, undiluted. Pick up some water and just pull that across. And if it's too much, you know, too much of a line where you've put it on, just go back into it with water and it'll work hopefully for you. Right. I think that bit at the top is a flower. So I'm going to say that's a flower. That bit there could be a bit of a petal. And there also. So let's put in that amount of green on and drag that around to where I want it. Not sure what's what here, but I think it'll look flowery when we're finished. Lovely. These are the ties for the top of the jar, so I don't want to do them yet. Ooh, this is a big complicated one. Ooh, wow. Well, I think that's green, that's green. Hard to tell. I'm putting quite a lot of green on this. Possibly too much, time will tell. These can't all be blinking flowers. I think it's all a leaf actually. Right, water on your brush. And let's just drag that colour out so it's not so potent. But you do have darker pieces in it, which you would have naturally in nature. Darker and lighter bits. So into that bit there. There we go. That's nice. Does it ever end? Oh, wrong end. It's the fine liner end. These are Faber-Castell watermarkers. They are fabulous. Absolutely in love with them. There's only 30 colours, but actually they're not cheap. So it's a good job there's only 30 colours. I guess they'll add to them. They're quite a new thing for Faber-Castell, and I'm thinking that, you know, as they see people liking them and buying them, of course, they will add more. So that's that one. And then we've got this leaf. Oh, here's Mr. F back. Hello, Mr. F.
Hello, Miss P.
How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. And you?
Yeah, all right. Nice day out there.
It's a glorious day out there. it wasn't for the fact the world was inhabited by people, I'd spend more time out there.
So I'm just doing what you've seen me do throughout. And that's it for the greenery on the flowers. So now I'm just going to wash that green off my brush. And clean up where I've been putting the ink. And yes, now it's time to move along. So this is the first one that I'm coming to. So I think I'll just go for purple. Look at that. Oh, you can't even see it. When Mr. F comes down, I'll ask him to shift the camera so you can actually see what I'm doing, which would be a big help. So I'm just putting some of that on one side of this. I'm going to go back in with the pen directly. Mr. F,
Yes, Miss P.
I've moved the camera.
Deliberately?
Yeah, deliberately, because it was too far away. But now, no, I'm not too close in. Just I'm at an angle where people can't see what I'm doing. It's this that I'm trying to get in.
Oh, the
my palette, as it were.
how's that?
Perfect. Right, so that's that one done. Let's just carry on moving along. Moving along as we go. Now this one, I'm going to put some bits of purple in it. Hither and thither. Like that. But then on the other side, I'm going to put some pink. So we should get a nice sort of mix of the two. Hopefully. Not sure how this is going to work out, but we'll see. So I want some water on there and just move that paint around. Yeah, that's turning out very nicely. Lovely. So that's that one, just carry on. So I'm just going down the left hand side again with my big brush. So it all takes time, this. I appreciate that it all takes time, but so many of you have asked to see exactly how I paint my flowers, so this is how I paint my flowers. Put some ink on it and then get some water on your brush and pull the ink out. So you've got a darker bit, in this case on the tips. That looks pretty. Then this one. Right. This one I'm going to take some of the diluted paint on this makeshift palette, paint all over it with that, and then I'm just going to come down this left hand side here like that and just drag that in a little bit like that, clean my brush off and pull that over. Another little bit required there. There we are. So that's that one done. That's a pretty one. A pretty one. So now we've got this daisy-fied looking one. And I might try a similar thing with that actually. Just a very watered down wash of the colour. That is a little bit watered down. Like that. A little bit on the ends there. A little bit there, I think, and then I'm going to add my straight up ink to there and down there and a little bit along that edge. Get some water, pull that in. And there, that looks nice. I like that. Pleased with that. Oh my goodness, I've got this one now. So okay, sticking to the rules, left hand side, it's going to get the darkest colour. All along the top of that one looks like it needs it. And down there as well. I'm just about out of water. So just drag the colour, go into it, move it around and then drag it. So go into where you put your colour, swirl your brush around and then just drag it around. Oh, this has turned out really pretty actually. Very nice. Now this one. Now I might do this in just the pink actually. Just for a change. Just for something different. I'll still have some purple on my brush, but that doesn't matter. It'll just make it all the prettier. There we go. Very nice. And this is our last one. Try not to leave the ink too long without moving it, because it'll just soak into the paper and then you'll never move it. Once it's dry, you'll never move it. So that's that. That I think is our, I'm trying to put the wrong end of the brush on, is our, oh no, I haven't done this one. Silly woman. I mean, we're not going to use all of these, quite obviously, in one little thing, but I'm sure I've already done this one. But maybe not. Yeah, so first one I go to is the one I put down first, because it's the most likely to be drying out. There we go. Right, now I definitely have finished. So I'll hold those up so you can have a look at them, see what you think of my artistic endeavours. They're just nicer than if you just painted them flat or cut them out of, you know, one colour card. So the next thing we want to do are the two jars. And as I say, I'm not sure which colour I'm going to use for the jar, which size I'm going to use. Don't even know which colour I'm going to use. I've got this grey, and I've got, no, not that one, that's too blue. I've got this grey, what they're called anyway. This is Warm Grey 3, and this is Cold Grey 4. Let's put them out and see what colours they are. That's a very, very light grey. Yeah, I think I'll go with the darker one. Right, so what I want to do now is get some water down and pretty much cover, ooh, that's still purple. Let's clean the brush a little bit better than that, shall we? Right, hopefully that's okay. So I'm going to just put water all over my jar. And it wants to look old when we're finished with it, so don't worry. I'm picking up a little bit of that grey I'm just bringing it in from this side. This paper isn't dealing very well with this, actually. It's beginning to pill a little bit. So I'm just putting some grey paint. Yeah, sorry, I've been calling it ink. They're actually watercolour paints. So I'm just putting it down that side, and then I just want a little bit down the other side, just a little bit. And I'm going to pull that in as well from that side. And then I just want to draw. I'm going to have to leave that now till it's dry. I think I've kind of mucked that up. I have now because I've put green on it. Although actually I quite like that. That was just a little bit of green that I had on my finger, and it's just made it look so nice. Don't know if you can see that, but it's just aged it. It just looks lovely. Well, that was a happy accident, wasn't it? Let's clean this brush out. Still not convinced that it's in any way clean. I mean, if you're not doing a video, take yourself to the sink and do this. Let's put some water down. And let's do it all again. Let's just go down this side. I'm not going to wet the jar first because it's not taking kindly to all that water. Just going to put that around there. Pull out this paint from that side. Like that. I mean, in fairness, this paper was never intended to take this much water. That's lovely. And then I'm going down the other side with just a thinner line and along the bottom. We just want to get that bit of shading in there. Make it look a bit older. That's fine, like that. And then we want to colour the two ribbons in. So there's a smaller one for that and a larger one for that. And I think I'm going to colour them in straight up purple. So this one here. And I'm just going to actually just go over them, and it's going to be a deep purple. There was a pop group called that. Well, I think actually there were. I think they'd be horrified if I called them a pop group. They were heavy metal, would you say? I don't know. Not into all of that stuff. So that's one. I'm going to do the same with the other one. So I'm not diluting this. This is straight from the pen. Or the marker, should I say. There we go. Right. So now I want to show you what I did. Let's pop those. Have I got any tweezers anywhere? They're not accessible. Let's just pick these up and put them onto our paper there to dry. These ones, oh, I can lift those up quite easily. That one, that's going to be my favourite. I just love it. Yeah, I want to show you what I did with the brown set. So I'll bring it over. Let's pop those over there. So this is the brown set that I did. And I just used Vintage Photo is all I used. I just dabbed it onto my erstwhile palette and then did exactly what I've shown you, but I didn't colour the leaves green or the stems or anything green. I did all of them in that beautiful Vintage Photo, which is a lovely warm colour. And I don't know where the other jar's gone. Ah, here it is. There we go. So I did the same with that, and I coloured that in pretty neat. So that goes on there like that. So that looks, I love these. I think they're gorgeous. I really, really love them. So now we've got our two sets. We've got the purple set and we've got the vintage set. So let's move on from there and give those purple ones a little chance to dry. These ones I did earlier, so they're bone dry. So I'm running out of any sort of space here. I don't really want to lose all my painted die cuts. So I'm just going to pause for a while, put all my pens away, etc. and I'll be back. Right, so here are our backgrounds, nice and dry. Not at all tacky or anything like that. So that goes that way, yeah. And it's time to decorate them. So I'll just bring this one in that I showed you yesterday and we'll see the areas we want to decorate. So something goes there. In this one I've used brown paper that's scrumpled up. Then that's some of Janya's beautiful ink. I've got ink on the brain. Tea stained paper. And then that's another piece of Janya's tea stained paper. So it's all gorgeous. But I think we'll concentrate on the purpley one first. And so here's our background. So where I had that brown scrumpled paper, I want to put something else. And this has got a lot of white in it. It doesn't look that vintagey to me. So I'm going to play up to the white. So I'm going to get my Gemini MIDI out and a embossing folder. Yes. And I'm going to put some... Come on, Gemini. Honestly, once it sticks, you've got no chance. I'm just going to put some ink on that. I've got Villainous Potion, Wilted Violet. Wilted Violet might look quite nice. Yeah, let's go with that. Oh, I need some paper to put in it as well. That's always an idea. Let's get some paper. Cut it to approximately the right size. Mr. F's cleaned my scissors. So, oh, look at that, the joy of it. There we go. So what I'm going to do is get fancy. I am going to ink the side that's the pattern standing up. So I'm just going to take my ink pad and just put ink, smear ink over that. That should be okay. As I say, this is Wilted Violet. I'm just going to give it the lightest of spritzes. That should be fine. Put the paper in and then whiz it through the Gemini. Oh, I think I should have added a plate or something with it. Yeah, that's no good. It needs to have a plate to go through with. Might have jiggered it up now because I moved it, but we'll see. Oh, no, it's lovely. Look at that. That's so pretty, isn't it? So pretty. Right, so that needs to be washed, but in the meantime I'll just spritz it with some water and wipe it off. It's just distress ink, so it's always going to come off. You know, it's never going to dry permanent, so we're okay with regards to that. Okay, so that's one part of what we're going to put there. Yeah, I'm just going to tear that now while it's still a little bit damp. So I don't want a straight edge on it. I like when things are a bit more interesting than straight edges. Tear down here. So once again, you're not going to see a whole heck of a lot of this. tear that the other way. But you will see some of it. That's why it's always worth doing it. It's always about layers, layer upon layer upon layer. And 9 times out of 10, you don't see very much of any of the layers. But don't let that deter you. I think this is going to be too big. I'm going to have to tear a bit more off it. I like this side more than that side, I think. No, maybe not. Yeah, maybe. So I'm going to put that about there. So yes, I want to tear it off. I've got a tear ruler somewhere. Let's use that. That's fine. I just can feel that that's right. So that's going to go there. Get rid of my scraps. So let's glue that down into place. And I'm going to use Collall. There we go. I'll get this stuck down about there. I think that'll look nice. And then because the sort of overall emphasis of this is on white, I don't want to add any tea stain paper or anything to it. I want it to be fairly white. So I've got a whole book of this that I got for tea staining, but there was a few pieces in it that hadn't made it. So I'm just going to use it's just ordinary thin lined paper. So I'm going to tear that off there. And then see where I want that to come, which is about there probably. Tear that off. I don't mind these little scrag ends actually, but looks like I've taken them off anyway. So that's going to go there. Now would I prefer it that way? I think I might, because there's a piece of paper going there, and if I put it that way you can see the lovely tatty edges. Now I'm going to ink this before I put it down, so I'm going to use that Wilted Violet again, which is the same colour as I used for the embossing. What am I going to use to put it on with is a question. Got a little sponge here that looks like it's got purple on, so I want to use that. Oop, don't really like that. Let's try again. Good job, paper's got two sides. That's a bit better. I've got finger daubers, I've just thought of them now. They might have been easier, but we're getting on all right now. Just being careful with it. There we go. I think that's okay, job done, I'd say. Let's just wipe this up before calamity happens. So I'm going to stick that down onto there. Yeah, I'm just going to use my Collall again. taking care and time with those little bits, because I do want them to stick down. This has turned out to be like the longest video in history, hasn't it? There we go. I'm just going to pop that there, like so. Put that little bit into the right place, more or less. There we go. That looks nice. I like that. That's great. And then I need a piece to put my arrangement on, my flowers that we've painted, etc., etc. I'm just going to go around the edge of that with this Wilted Violet Oxide. Just bring the edge in a little bit. Brighten it up. So you see all the fuss that we made of getting the background just so. You honestly can hardly see any of it. But you know, we know it's there. It's another one of those almost invisible layers. But if you don't have it, you really notice that, you know, it's looking a bit bald in places. There we go. I think that looks nicer now with the purple around the edge. So now onto the flowers and arranging these. So I want a piece of my paper that I've been using and bring in the purple flowers and go away. Right, here we go. So I don't know what sort of arrangement we're going to have, but I'm going to use that one, because I absolutely love it. It looks quite oldie and interesting. I've got some very big ones. That's quite nice, isn't it? I've got the very tall ones. Do they fit with that? Yeah, they do. Oh, I haven't stuck my thingy on. Where are they? Oh, here they are. I think I need the bigger one for this. Let's just check. Yeah, that's the one I need. So I'm just going to remove that while I stick this down, just in case. In case I manage to get glue everywhere. You never know. You can't put anything past me. I'm mucky. I'm a mucky pup. And my hands once again covered in ink and glue. Right, so let's just check. That side goes to that little curly bit there, and that side, way come back, goes to there. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Let's just find a clean bit of this towel, stick that down. Lovely, that's great. So off we go again with our arrangement. So I think that's where we were up to. I've got these leaves which are gorgeous. I don't know about having one coming down off the... quite like that. Yes, I do. I quite like it. What else? We've got all sorts here. I've got that other leaf. That might look better at the other side, just to balance that one out. And just need something up here. That, perhaps. That might go nicely in the middle, I don't know. No. Let's pull it over to that side. I like that, and I'm going to, I think, put that taller one in the back as well. How about that? That looks okay. I think that looks nice. So we've got more flowers to play with on another day. Right, so starting at the back, working our way forwards. I think that tall one is probably the first one to get stuck down. These are a pain in the neck to stick. So that one's going there like that, I believe. I'm sure I've got a cleaner towel than that somewhere. Let's try this one. I don't think that's any cleaner. Let's try, oh my goodness me. They're all very colourful. Just pop that down. Right, and this one I think is the next one. Kind of goes there, I think. Ooh, they've all come out. That's stuck to a plant, not to... Oh, that didn't work overly well. We're okay. We're okay. We're still rocking and rolling. So let's stick this big one in the centre there. Yes. Oh, I just had a thought there. No, I'm going to stick it down. I was thinking of cutting the leaves off and using the leaves somewhere else, but they look quite nice on there, so I leave them be. Right, so that's going there, just like that. Marvellous. Lovely. Now then, we had a leaf coming out of here, like that. These purple flowers are very pretty, I must say. They really are. And they're worth all the time that you invest in them. And honestly, you know, if you're not making a video, because that's not, you know, that isn't without its own worries. Whoops, another bomb gone off. It rattles the windows. Yeah, if you're not making a video, just relax and enjoy it. It's a really pleasant thing to do. So I've got this little fluffy ball one. And that, I think, is our last flower. Where does it go? About there. Maybe up a little bit. Yeah, that's fine. That's great. So let's stick that on, and then we'll see if we want to put that on the front of the jar itself. I think that's okay. That's lovely, lovely. Right, so I've got this, which I can have coming sort of out of there, down there like that. Quite like it. Would it be nicer if it wasn't quite so long? I think so. Right, I'm just going to chop it. Ugh, I just have to drop the scissors. Yeah, I'm just going to chop it. I'm going to be brave. And glue that down. Hope that just coming out of the top there. Like that. Fabulous. Now the other thing that we could do, I don't think I'm even suggesting it, well I am, aren't I? I'm saying it out loud, is we could have a sort of bit of a flower at the bottom there. I quite like the idea of that. I'm just not sure what bits of flowers I've got to do that with. That might be quite a nice one without that bit on. So let's chop that bit off. Never forget that you can do this with your dies. You can chop into them and change them. Oh, I quite like that little bit on its own actually. That's quite nice. Let's try this one. I quite like that. Maybe not that long, it's just a tad too long I think. Yeah, I'll have that there. Looks like it's kind of falling out. So let's glue that in. Sorry if you can hear my tummy growling. It's lunchtime. And I started this just after breakfast. So there we are. That makes a difference, doesn't it? It really adds something to it, at any rate. Right, so I've finished with those purple flowers, but I am going to keep them for another day. I'll probably pop them in the plastic wallet that the dies came in. Okay, so what size do I need to cut this down to? Pretty much quite tight to it, I would say. So I'm going to get out my decal edge trimmer. So beware that sometimes people say this is really noisy. So I'm going to go for that. This might be a bit big. If it is, we can chop it down again. Oh, doesn't that look pretty? Whoa, that was definitely loud. Sorry, guys. So that's going to go in there like that. I could make it smaller. In fact, I think I will make it smaller. I'll put you on pause so you don't have to listen to it all. Right, I've trimmed it out and I'm much happier with that size. I like that a lot better. So I'm just going to go around the edge of this with the wilted violet. Just so it stands out a little bit. Oh, I managed to get wilted violet there, which was not my intention, but it's there now. I can't do much about it. Oh, isn't that pretty? That is so pretty. There we go. So now the next thing is I want to put some brads in, because I'm flush with brads, seeing as after Mr. F's find yesterday. Let's see if I can open these ones. I don't want them to go flying everywhere, obviously. There we go. And I've got some teeny tiny little purple ones in here, which are perfect for the job. So I'm just going to lay out 4 of those little brads. shut that up before I drop any. And get my yoga mat and make some holes and put the brads in. So, pokey tool. So I'm just going to come in about 1/4 of an inch like that. About the same here. Put my brads in. Makes quite a little hole, that pokey tool, so I'm amazed I'm managing to get these brads in, because I don't have a very good track record with brads, to be fair. Oh, just knocked that one out. There we are. So I'll just pop these ones in. Make sure your paper's nice and pressed down. And just straighten the legs out. One more to go. There we go. Pretty painless for me. And that's going to go on there like that. So let's glue that in place. Thought for one awful moment there I still had you on pause from where I was using the decal edge trimmer. Huh? So let's pop this in its rightful place, which is about there, I would say. Lovely. Whoops-a-daisy. There we go. Now that, I think, is the purple one done. Does that look square? Not really. That's a bit better. Yeah, that's a bit better. That's the purple one done. There's just the brown one to put together. And I'm not going to make you sit through all the flower arranging and everything. Doesn't that look pretty though? Don't you think? I think it's lovely. I'll show you the important parts, but we'll whiz through it at a good rate of knots. Yeah. So, isn't that just so pretty? I love it. I love this bit of, oh, just love it all. Right, so I'm moving on to the brown one. I'm just going to pause for a second to get all my ducks in a row, and I'll be straight back. Okay, so now to deal with the brown one. Right, so what I did with the one that I did earlier was I took some brown paper. It's just part of a bag. It's actually part of the bag my prescription comes in, but it doesn't matter. What would be ideal is, you know, that brown packaging that Amazon uses? That would be perfect for the job. So just something like that. And I'm going to tear this off kind of where I wanted ish. So down there and maybe up a little bit. Is that something like straight? Something like, and then along the bottom, and that I can leave, that'll be fine, whatever it's like. Go away, you wilted violet sponge. Right, so all I do with this is just crumple it. Crumple it in your hands. Straighten it out with care because you might tear it. And you'll be left with this crumple pattern. This bit up here didn't get much. There we go. And then I'm just going to take my... Actually, I'm going to take my gathered twigs. Because it's a juicier pad for one. And it's a bit darker. So just skim across the top with your ink pad, and you'll see it just picks up the top of those creases. And it just gives quite a nice pattern, I think. There we are. No need for any more than that. I am, however, going to go round the outside edge, just a little bit of the gathered twigs, just so it stands out against that background, because the background's quite busy. So all these things take time, but you know, hopefully we've got plenty of that. Hopefully. Right, there we go. So that can get stuck onto there. And it's just a cheap pattern, isn't it, really? So I'm going to use this glue because I don't want it to come through, and this paper is really quite thin. Yeah, I have a suitcase for all my drugs. It's ridiculous. Not a literal suitcase, just a big brown bag, which on this occasion is coming quite useful. And once you've glued it, it'll flatten right down, so don't worry about the crumples. There we go. So I'm just going to place that where I placed the embossed piece on the other one. Smooth that down like that, and you're just left with that lovely pattern, which pleases me. I like it. I don't really want that bit there, just in the wrong place. There we go. And then for the other side, where I used the white paper on the purple one, I'm going to use a piece of Janya's gorgeous, oh look at it, it's beautiful, coffee stained paper. I'll just see where I want to tear that. Maybe a little bit further across, back there. I'm going to have used up all my paper. And tear that about there. And that's going to get glued on there. I am going to ink around that as well, though, with the gathered twigs. The gathered twigs is quite a dark colour, and I appreciate it's not up everybody's street. But I just want it to stand out, you know, make this stand out against that very busy background. There we go. All that's needed. So let's get this glued down. I'm going to use Collall for this because it's not quite so thin. You've seen me do this before, so I'll just pause you there while I do this. So there we are, that's that stuck on, and I have made my flower arrangement in good time. So I'll just get my decal edge trimmer out again and we'll cut this out. And the end is in sight, guys. The end is in sight. Which is a good job because I can hear the lamb chops sizzling. Yay! Lovely dinner today. It doesn't want to tear, but we can do that. Lovely. So this is Jania's lovely coffee stained paper again, and it's quite thick, so it's thick enough for this. That's straight, yep. There we go. So there's a couple of good bits to save for another project. And there's our nice arrangement. Just going to go around the edge. Oh, sorry about that noise. With some gathered twigs, just to accentuate that nice decal edge. There we go. Maybe come in a little bit, I think. Right. So that is going to go on there, like that. So stick that on, and then the job is a good one. Lovely. Right. I think that looks quite nice there. Just get a towel out and give that a good press down. Whoops. There we are. Now all I did to the other one that I made, the sort of prototype, was I got some it's Distress spray stained tarnished brass. I'm just going to give that a shake because all the mica falls to the bottom. And I'm just going to use this end and just splat it a little bit. And it does make a difference, I think. A little bit down there, that's fine. So that will dry in its own sweet time and it'll be nice and shiny. So there are our two cards. One very pretty, one, oh, that needs gluing down. One bit more vintagey, well, a lot more vintagey. It's up to you which, well, obviously it's up to you which one you like. What a stupid thing to say. But I hope you enjoyed seeing how to make them. Maybe you'll get some ideas, you know, not necessarily make the whole project, but you might take something away from it, hopefully. Or it could be I'm just speaking to myself. So there we have them anyway. I think they're really pretty. I think, well, I don't know which one I like best actually. I'm very drawn towards those sort of colours, but this is very pretty. Oh, I haven't even done round the outside. What are you playing at? Let's ink round the outside. It doesn't look finished till you've inked round the side, I don't think. You could round off the corners if you wanted to. I'm not going to because the piece of paper that I've put on it have got square corners and I don't like a mixture of the two. So there we are. I might go around again with that brown, darken it a bit more, but that's it anyway. So there's the fruits of our labour. Let's budge them along so you can see, shall I? Would be a good idea. There we are. I think they'd make a nice inclusion in any journal. Yeah, I do like that one better. Let me know in the comments which one you like better, just out of curiosity. And I will see you again very soon. Thanks for bearing with me with that. There's a lot of work in that. I hope you think it was worth it. I forgot to put my brads on there. Silly woman. I could put them right through actually, because this needs backing anyway. So I shall see you very soon. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care. Be kind. Bye. Oh, I can't stop you. Stop.